Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She is somebody that is behind many great products, and they're all natural, biodegradable, safe products for your personal hygiene, products for your home cleaning. And aside from that, taking the right kind of products, it's also the environment. And today we're going to talk about the impact of shipping and what that does to the environment. And this is all on her radar. She's very particular, even about the shipping aspect of all of her products, which are fantastic. And the products are called Aspire Colorado or Aspire COLO.com. Julie Smith is back with us. Hey, Julie, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm well. I'm well. Great to have you back here. And you've mentioned this a few times in our talks about the packaging that you use or minimizing the packaging to minimize the footprint on our, the stress and strain on our environment. Um, how about some of the sustainable shipping practices that are being used today that align with what you do?
Well, basically, it's just a part of who we are. So, just as a household, we're a zero waste household. So, we're very careful about what comes into the house because it has to be recyclable, or we have to be able to do something with it besides just throw it in the landfill. And Aspire, I'm constantly ordering things over the internet because there's not a whole lot of supplies, say for things like essential oils and many of the oils that I use to make my products that are available locally. So I have to mail order those. I have to mail order my containers, my tins, my bottles, all this. All of these are refillable, but when they show up, they have different kinds of shipping practices associated with them. And so I try very hard to push back on that and get my suppliers thinking about how they ship things.
Hmm.
Um, it's difficult and it's challenging. I can order a piece of equipment and have it show up with styrofoam blocks all around it, just encased in styrofoam blocks. I'm seeing less in terms of styrofoam peanuts. I used to be able to recycle those by taking them to UPS or FedEx or someplace, and they would take those and reuse those, but they're not doing that anymore. And so it is a challenge because the shipping can be just as damaging as just the containers and the products. And a lot of it's completely unnecessary.
I had this thought the other day, and I'm thinking that this must drive you crazy, but Amazon. And we're all ordering stuff, and it's super convenient. I'm guilty as charged. I can just go to the store and pick it up, but it's like, I'm just so busy. Done. All the boxes, all the shipping containers, all of that. What is that doing to our environment right now?
Yep, not only in the shipping and how to dispose of it at the end of it, but also in the manufacturing of it. Cardboard, for instance, cardboard boxes come from trees, and we are literally scraping huge swaths of forest just for toilet paper, much less for cardboard boxes. So it's super important to reuse those boxes and then to recycle them. Cardboard really is very recyclable. At Coors, when I worked at Coors, we used to bale the cardboard, and they actually paid us for that. And some of the stores that I sell my products to here locally still do that. It's very easy to keep the containers. Applejack Liquors, right here well, it's in Wheat Ridge, but close enough. They keep all the boxes that they get all of their deliveries in, and then that's what they have for you if you need any kind of a container to take your purchase. They just have boxes, and they're all stacked at the front of the store, and they'll grab a box. They don't have bags, they never have. Natural Grocers is like that, and actually Aspire is like that. Every box that I get, I keep, and I reuse them for shipping product back out. The only time I've had to buy a cardboard box in the entire time that since we started the company, was when I got an order for 450 pounds of tooth powder in bulk. And I wanted the boxes all to match, and I wanted to make sure that they were all 200-pound drop weight boxes so that I wouldn't have any disasters between our facility and where they were received. So that was a different situation, but for the most part, I use the boxes that I receive my shipments in.
It's you bring up some great points here, even about the manufacturing of the boxes. Like, just how many deliveries every single day. And I gotta believe, if somebody is time challenged, and that's why they're ordering on Amazon, they're
Mm-hmm.
probably not recycling those boxes. They're probably just throwing them in the garbage, the dumpster, whatever it might be. What a complete waste it really is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
do you order much
Well,
yourself?
well, even worse than the boxes is the stuffing that's inside of the boxes,
Sure.
and that I reuse all paper. And if and you can ship pretty much anything in paper, and when I ship out, it's all paper, and it's probably reused paper. I even get I strive to keep my mail down too, because mail is paper as well. So when I get mail in, I immediately, if it's junk mail or an advertisement or something, I immediately contact them and tell them to remove me from the mailing list. And
Hmm.
it's amazing how it's like you can't do it fast enough. So much stuff comes in if you don't watch out. It's just absolutely incredible how much people try to sell us. As I buy a shovel from some company by mail order, and then they think, "Oh, you must want all these other 10 things too." And I'm, no, I just wanted a shovel. Now, don't send me a catalog and just knock it off. It's just amazing. But one thing that I have that comes in that just will not come off the wall, it's this Retail Me Not full of coupons for big corp products that I will
Ah,
never buy. And I take that and use that for shipping as well.
oh, do you
So
really?
at least used twice.
Interesting. Tell us about what you do with Aspire. Some of the things that you hold. Let's say the packaging, things like styrofoam, things like that.
If I get blocks, we are very fortunate here in Golden that we have another passionate environmentalist. His name is Jim Smith, and he owns Golden Real Estate. And he has been hosting what he calls the styrofoam barn behind his real estate office. And it's a caged area where any local resident can go in night or day, 24/7, and drop off styrofoam blocks. And he has a very specific sign in the front: don't leave peanuts, just the blocks. Always put the blocks in these bags. I take it twice a month to a facility in Denver that actually recycles styrofoam, which is hard to do because styrofoam is so low in density. You can't ship it anywhere. Nobody wants to deal with styrofoam.
Wow.
So, but this facility takes it, and they really do recycle it, and they keep it local, so that's good. And but he said it adds to his work if you throw things in there. No food containers. So if you have takeout in styrofoam, don't leave that. They can't take it. He has to pick it out. It adds to his work. So people are usually pretty good about that. If they're passionate enough to take something there in the first place, they're pretty good about following the rules. So that's where the blocks go. I haven't received peanuts in a long time, but if I do, I'm really stuck with them. The only way to get rid of those is to put them in my kitchen TerraCycle box. And again, styrofoam is low in density, takes up a lot of space, and that really adds to my costs. Most people aren't going to do that. How many people are going to do that? How many people have a styrofoam barn? Most of that, if something comes in styrofoam, it's going in the landfill, and it's pathetic. It shouldn't. Anyway, we shouldn't even have it. And then I just got a shipment the other day that had, I couldn't believe it. It was metal tins. Now, you could drop a box of metal tins off a 10-story building and they would probably be fine. They had these metal tins in a box that was inside of another box, a bigger box, and it was packed with those cornstarch bubbles that are cornstarch pellets that they used to be styrofoam and now they're cornstarch. And those are something that, unless you happen to be like we are, we have a garden and we compost. So I simply put the cornstarch pellets in a 5-gallon bucket, and then I top them with water, and they dissolve pretty much immediately. And then I dump it all on the compost pile. Who does that? That's going to landfill. I mean, that's just stupid. And then plus I paid extra for the shipping for that. I know I did, because you pay more for a larger box. And they could have sent me the inner box that was about 1/4 the size of the box they actually sent it in. And I wouldn't have had to deal with the 2 boxes instead of 1 box. And then all those pellets. So that's just wasteful. And I had to pay for that shipping. I paid for those boxes. I paid for those little pellets that I didn't want in my product and didn't need. Because like I said, you could have taken the inside box full of tins, metal tins, and dropped them off a tall building and they wouldn't have broken. So why in the world did they do that? It's just,
Makes no sense.
it's annoying.
Oh.
And they wasted energy. They wasted transportation energy, because a box that's lighter still takes up the same amount of space on that FedEx truck. So now they're wasting energy of transportation in shipping. So those kinds of things, again, with Aspire, we do not do that. We deal with it. So I don't take things like those kinds of cornstarch pellets and turn them. I don't use those for shipping. I only use paper for shipping, because even though I know that a lot of times it's going to probably go in the landfill, at least it's going to biodegrade eventually. It's not going to take up that much space. And, we go from there. But I will not send out things like pellets. I do not. Bubble wrap is another thing that drives me absolutely nuts. It's the same thing. I'll get things wrapped in bubble wrap that you would never, they're not breakable. It's just stupid. A bunch of plastic bottles, and then they have a bag in there, and then they got a bunch of bubble wrap around it. No. And I will take and pop every single one of those bubbles so that I can put it plastic film. Who does that?
Well,
So
it's
I
a good stress release too. Popping each one of them. Right?
uh,
There's a little purpose.
anyway.
I love the fact, Julie, that you're talking about what we're talking about, because you see the other side of it. You are a business person. You are shipping stuff out. So when stuff comes to you, you're looking at it, you're scrutinizing it, as you should. So you have a different perspective of things, which I think is fantastic. Any other ideas on reusing things? Bubble wrap be one of them. Any other things that stand out in your mind?
Well, just definitely. Well, another thing that I definitely make sure to do, and I think this is extremely important, and this gets back to the junk mail, always say something. We can't just be like sheep and not say something. If somebody sends you some junk mail that you don't want it and don't need it, get off their mailing list so it doesn't just keep coming. I know a lot of people don't do that. You can even, at least, if nothing else, return to sender, and then they get it back. Now, I tend to contact them first and say, please remove me from your mailing list, and try to nip it in the bud that way. And then I'll recycle whatever came in that I didn't want. And I know that if I send it back to a company and they're an irresponsible company, they're probably not going to bother to recycle it. It's probably going to go in the trash. So I do the return to sender only if the initial contact, please don't send me this, doesn't work.
I forgot about that. I would like to think that it does work if you say return to sender, but it's easy enough to do. Well, I guess I was going to say print labels on your computer and just stick it on there, but you are wasting resources in printing the labels, where you could just write it in a Sharpie. I wish there was.
That's what I do.
Write in a Sharpie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it stands out. It's big. I wish there was a company that would do that for you. But how would they monetize it? You're not going to subscribe to a company that's going to take care of get you off a mailing list, so we could not have all this wasted resources. But wish it was just as easy, like the do not call list. So,
Yep.
right? I wish it was something like that for mail.
They do. They have, it's called directmail.com.
Okay. Wow.
And I'm on that too. And there are a lot of companies that ignore that or somehow just don't do it. And I get the mail anyway, but you can get on directmail.com and unsubscribe from all kinds of stuff. And yeah, so that is one way to do it. But yeah, it's interesting to me though that stuff will still keep coming. How much mail do you get, just out of curiosity? Just how much do you get as far as junk mail? Do you get a lot of it, or?
Fair amount. And I'm going to be honest and tell you that, I recently moved, so I'm in between houses. I'm in a apartment complex now. I only check my mail like once a week, if I remember. Um, and yeah, there's a, substantial amount in there. A lot of newsprint is mailed, like local advertising publications, things like that. I don't get a lot of junk mail to my office, which I'm thankful for, but I guess a residence they're sending out. But I will always be throwing away at least 75% of it. At least that.
Yep.
Yeah. Shame.
Yep. Now think about how that adds up for every man, woman, and child in this
I
country.
know. I know. Well, same thing with the
Over
app.
300 million of us getting a level of junk mail. I'm actually, yeah, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I've gone green. I've even tried to keep my mail down by going green and getting things by email and paying virtually and automating my payments and things like that. And that's cut down on the amount of mail I get tremendously.
And I'll tell you, I have a marketing company, and we do all different types of excuse me, marketing. I haven't done a direct mail campaign in probably 2 years. And it's only if it really, really, really makes sense. And more times than not, it doesn't.
Yeah, mainly they don't work.
Well, there are,
It amazes me that they send out as much as they do. It's like, really?
yeah, yeah, there's a place for everything, and you need
Hmm.
to analyze that. What's going to work? But by and large, it's a very small percentage of businesses that would benefit from direct mail. Um, how about some of the things that we pay? We're paying for over packaging and all that. You touched
Yep.
on that before, but how big is that?
Um, well, whatever a box costs. I mean, I'm going to say, because when I buy, I don't know when a huge company, if I order from a huge company that sells a lot more than I do, they're obviously buying their boxes in mass quantities. So, but I'm sure they're charging me for some kind of a markup on that. So I would say that an extra box would probably cost a couple of bucks at least. And then the shipping costs though are the big thing. I mean, if you have a box that's twice as the size, you're going to pay twice as much for shipping. So if they put an outer box over an inner box that didn't really need it, then they've increased the size of that box and that increases your shipping costs. And then the other thing that I know for myself is that the apps that are out there chronically overcalculate the actual shipping costs. And I've tried to figure out how to get my apps to not do that. Like I have an Equid store. Okay. So my online store is an Equid store and it calculates the shipping cost automatically. And it's always higher. And they say, oh, just don't worry about it. At least it's higher, or whatever. It's like, no, I don't want to be gouging people when it comes to shipping. I'm pretty careful about that. So I just figure out when I get my actual shipping cost. I have an app called Pirate Ship that's a separate app from the store. And I'll get my shipping off of that. And it's always less. It's always less. And what I do is I refund my customers. I say, well, you overpaid shipping by $4 and here's your $4 back because I don't feel comfortable just saying, oh, it's fine. Yeah, because I feel like I'm gouging and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and when you think about how expensive it is, I know that the times where I've had to go to the packaging store, let's say I'm moving, couldn't get boxes from a grocery store. I just needed them. They are not cheap. Now, of course, they got you because they know you need it. But for an
Mhm.
average size box, we're not talking huge or anything here. You're dropping like $5 easily on that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. When you go to a place like that, you're pretty much of a captive. So, yeah. But I know when I bought the boxes to ship out, I think they were about for that one or that huge order that I wanted them all to match. I think they were about 350 a box.
Wow.
And but they were good sized boxes. They were like 2 foot by 2 foot sized, and they were 200-pound drop weight boxes. So they have like standards for that. So
Gotcha.
they're just thicker and more solid, but I didn't want them caving on the way to the customer. So, but the most of the order, most and the boxes too, those boxes had to be pretty solid because I was putting 30 pounds of tooth powder in every one of them.
Sure.
So that's a little different of a situation. But I didn't have a bunch of into paper with, I had paper packaging, strictly paper packaging. It's only powder. It's not going to break or,
Right.
so.
But I will say, even though we're paying for it and it's not great for the environment, when you've got a really good sturdy box, it feels good. When you packed inside that box and it's a little bit thicker, sometimes the ones that like a TV comes in, it's good peace of mind. We have about a minute or so left. What is pirate shipping? Heard the term, not really sure.
Oh, Pirate Ship is just a shipping company. It's
Oh,
an online shipping company. And if you ship, there are a lot of them. There are a lot. You get on there and look for online shipping companies that you can tie to an online store like Equid. There's a ton of them. And but Pirate Ship is, I don't know if they're new, but about 2 years ago, I have a friend who makes soap and personal care products too. And she told me about it, and it just has the best prices. It's unbelievable. They don't do FedEx. They do USPS and UPS, and they have the best rates. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I haven't had any trouble as far as shipping something out and having it show up in bad condition or anything like that. So I've been using them. They're out of Wyoming, and
hmm.
it's a free app. It's a free app. You just get on pirateship.com and you create an account, and it doesn't cost any money. And then you have to start it out with seed it with some money, and then it'll just ship, and then it'll bill you off of whatever credit card you give them whenever they run out of money. So it's very convenient.
Wow. Okay, I wasn't even aware. I just heard this term and that people are using, and I thought it was, some kind of, underground shipping. But wow, okay. If
Nope.
we can save money, fantastic. Save the environment as well, which is what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
What you're Aspire Colorado or ASPIRECOLO.com, and so many products that you have there that are safe and when I say safe, I mean for the environment and for us, from personal hygiene to also our cleaning products. You got a lot there. And one thing I will say, Julie, is you take great pride in everything that you sell. Right down to the packaging and right down to the shipping. So that's fantastic. I appreciate all the information today. I learned so much, got to tell you. Thank you very much.
Okay, well,
I
yeah, it was good to talk to you. I love talking about things like this. So,
Yeah, and your passion is there, and this is all stuff that we should be paying more attention to because we are, again, when I see truck after truck after truck delivering from Amazon, yeah, great convenience, but it's got to come in something, and it's going to come at a cost at some point. Appreciate you being here, and look forward next time we get a chance to talk, Julie.
all righty, thanks.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.